Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast. This is the podcast where we have digital discussions, the worlds of social media, sports, pop culture, TV, film, everything really. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis, and on Twitter I go as PD Beats. Well, it's that time of year. It's World Junior time, and back by popular demand is our official Popternative World Junior show, and my guest is Director of Scouting from TSN, hockey analyst Craig Button. Craig, welcome back to Popternative.
My pleasure, Peter. Nice sweater.
Thank you. Like I said, right around the corner, we did this last year. People really liked it, so we're going to try to do this every year. We mentioned, last year, rewatching the episode last year, you talked about all the things that makes World Junior special. For you specifically, what makes it special the most? Is it like the time of year, what we get to see, like the play on the ice? Like what's that sticks out for you, Craig?
Yeah, there would be a few things, Peter. Number one is, it's fantastic when you end up at a international event. It's people from all around the world, from the different countries that are really proud about their hockey and really know how big this tournament is. And when it's in Canada, just the focus that it gets and the attention that is paid to it. So they're so excited about being able to participate. And when you're around the coaches and the managers and the players, I mean, you just have this real feeling that there's an energy that at this time of the year, I mean, it's a championship. So there's everything that goes with a championship. And it's really, really neat to be around them and spend time talking about the different ways to play and everything that goes with it. Then you go to the on ice and the on ice. I mean, this is a best on best tournament with all the best players in this age group competing. And so a lot of them have been first round draft picks. A lot of them, have their eye on the NHL and are very close to being in the NHL. We don't have to look very far. Just look at Elias Pettersson, who plays for the Vancouver Canucks. He was playing in this tournament last year. Now he's a star in the NHL. Yep. And there's going to be stars that are going to emerge from this tournament as soon as next year. So you're watching them compete against one another. They know that they're on a big stage with a bright spotlight, and they want to show not only to themselves that they're really strong players, they want to show to everybody, hey, you know what, I'm a good player. So, this year in Vancouver, Victoria, you got Quinn Hughes, who was drafted by the Vancouver Canucks. You can bet everything that you have that he wants to show everybody in Vancouver, the Canucks fans, hey, you know what, I'm a good player, and I'm going to show you what a good player I am.
Absolutely. We'll get into everything, your predictions. We'll get into, some of the players we need to look out for. But Team Canada every year is always a focal point. From what you've seen so far when the two pre-tournament games, what do you think is going to kind of be the what are some of the storylines we should be looking at, and what it's kind of, I know it hasn't started yet. I know you don't like these questions, Craig, but I asked them anyway because I know you can't tell the future, but what should we be looking out for with Team Canada? What's excited about Team Canada this year?
Every year brings, a different team. It has to be different. Yep. The players that are available, sometimes aren't. The age group changes, so it's going to be different each and every year. That being said, I'll preface it with this, Peter. The pre-tourney games. So Canada starts with Switzerland on Wednesday night. They start then they continue with Slovakia on Friday night. And then right before the tournament, they'll play what I like to say a meaningless game against Finland, right? And then they start the tournament against Denmark and Switzerland. The tournament for Canada begins on December 29th versus Czech Republic. That's when it begins. So it gives the coaches a really good opportunity to instill the game plan, the different areas of the game plan that they think will be really important. And it allows the players, without really feeling that pinch between the shoulder blades, knowing they can, I don't want to say ease into it, but now they can move into it without significant challenges. And let's be really clear, Denmark and Switzerland are not going to offer very much challenge. So That's where the coaches are going to have to be really demanding, and where the team is going to have to make sure that going into that game against the Czechs on December 29th, that they're ready. Because now it's go time. Now you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If everything goes right for Canada to compete for a gold medal, that's where it starts to think. So goaltending. I have no, they're not going to have a problem in the net. I mean, Mikey DiPietro and Ian Scott, you don't need one goaltender in this tournament. You need two now. There may be a goaltender that can emerge, and not for Canada, but in other years, that can be the go-to guy, can be that number one that just plays all the games. That's not the case here. You got to play 7 games in 10 days to compete for gold. The defense is going to be real quick to the puck and really quick moving it. I mean, the game has changed in that regard. You know, we talk about defending and you talk about those types. The key now, get to a puck quickly and make the right decision. So I look at the defense and I say they have all the boxes checked in that regard. Offensively, it's interesting, Peter. I've heard a lot of different descriptions of this team. Where is the offense going to come from? And literally, I laugh. I look at the top scorers in the Western Hockey League, and I see the names Cody Glass and Brett Leeson. Then I go to the Ontario League, and I see the names Nick Suzuki and Morgan Frost. Then I go to the Quebec League, and I see Joe Veleno and Alexis Lafreniere. And people are asking, if the offense isn't coming from the top scorers in these leagues, where's it coming from? Mm-hmm. I'm not worried about the scoring. They're going to have a really good offensive team. And that I have no doubt about it. I think they're one of the favorites. Are they the clear-cut favorite? No, but they're one of the favorites. And, you know, for Tim Hunter, who has the experience of being in the key to this tournament is making sure that you can adapt and adjust to the different styles that each opponent is going to throw at you, and that you continuously get better over the course of the tournament. If you don't do those two things, like, I know you need good goaltending. I know you need good specialty. I know all that. But if you don't do those other two things, nothing else matters. You will not end up competing for a gold medal. We saw it. I saw it up front a couple of years ago in Finland. They just didn't get better over the tournament. And they went out in the quarterfinal against the ultimate winner, Finland. So that's the key to winning and competing for the gold at the World Junior Hockey Championships.
And let's take a quick little kind of tour and go around. You know, we'll start. I want to know I want little snippets and little previews about what we can kind of expect from, you know, teams like Russia, Finland, United States, and of course Sweden, who we have seen many years have an amazing team, but just can't finish at the end and can't win the gold medal. But every year I've just had consistent play and dominate in the round robin. But what can we expect from some of these teams? And out of those teams I just mentioned, who would be kind of the favorite going in?
Yeah, again, so this tournament now, it's not about one country. You know, 5 countries are competing, you know, maybe even 6 in some years. I mean, that's where it's at. So why don't we start with Russia? Yep. And Russia did not medal last year. You know, that was, you know, they're usually right in the medal hunt. They didn't have a team that could really, you know, take control of the game in any single area. Very different this year. Larry Bragin knows this tournament intimately. He knows the player pool that he has available to him intimately. They're going to have a lot of skill up front. They got a lot of balance through their forward group, a lot of balance, a lot of skill. They're going to be able to attack, and they're going to be able to, you know, I think it's important to have depth throughout your forward group that can really push and sustain, you know, the pressure and apply it. The defense going to be steady. They're going to be able to move the puck. They're going to be able to contribute offense. That's not a real hallmark of the Russia. They want to get the puck moving, control it, get it into the scorer's hands. The question mark for Russia is going to be the goaltending. And, I mean, everybody has a question mark. And is it a big question mark? No, but that's one that they're going to have to answer. But I see this team as really capable. And I'll get into predictions and some of my thoughts on those in a minute. But that's Russia. Yeah. The dark horse in Canada's pool, the dark horse in the tournament, very well may be the Czech Republic. Yeah. They're getting Filip Zadina. They're getting Martin Necas. They have experience coming back in the blue line. They have a goaltender coming back, Skaric, who's played in the tournament. In the 1999 age group, Czech Republic won the Ivan Hlinka tournament. They beat everybody else in this age group. So the 1999s are the 19-year-olds in this tournament. And when you get those players back, high-end skilled players, high-end offensive players that have played in the tournament and excelled in the tournament, they have a legitimate chance to, I think they have not only a chance to medal, if things start to go their way, they very well may be competing for the gold. And they got blown out last year in the medal round in both the semifinal and the bronze medal game. I think it's going to be different this year. So that's Canada's pool. Let's swing to the other pool, the USA. I'm not so sure the USA has enough depth to really sustain 7 games in 10 days. They have skill. They have some steadiness and everything, but I don't know if they have the depth throughout. They're going to work hard, but you got to make teams uncomfortable. You got to make teams, force them ultimately into making mistakes and getting to a spot where you can take advantage. I do not know if the U.S. has that. They're missing Brady Tkachuk. That is a significant absence in their lineup. He would be their captain. He would be their catalyst on the ice. He would do so much for that team. So do not underestimate the loss of Brady Tkachuk. It'll be a competitive team. Make no mistake about it. And we'd be remiss in not talking about Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes is an outstanding player. He's the best player for the 2019 NHL draft. Of that, I have zero doubt.
I'm excited to see Quinn again this year.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Well, Quinn, and everybody should be excited to see Quinn. But this is a good team. This is a solid team. It's hard to win this tournament when you're missing key players. So I think for the USA, not quite enough depth is my question, and missing Brady Tkachuk is significant. Mm-hmm. On to Sweden. Yeah. I think that the Swedes' 44-game group play undefeated streak ends this year. Really? I think it ends. Well, yeah. I mean, I could just say it ends because of the law of averages. So, but I say it ends because I think that the USA will beat them in group play. They're well coached by Thomas Montan. They have some returning defensemen that are really solid. They have a really tight team up front in terms of how they play. I don't think they have enough offense. Which means that their margin for error becomes real thin. And I don't think their goaltending is at a level that can, just go play. They're not going to score. We will make sure that we find a way to get. They will be hard to score on because they play so good defensively and through the forward group right to the defense group. But I don't think they have enough to win, to keep that record ahead. Finland, we all love Finland. Listen, they're missing 2 major players. Jesperi Kotkaniemi with the Montreal Canadiens and Miro Heiskanen with the Dallas Stars. That's significant for a country such as Finland. And Christian Vesalainen, who's played in this tournament, the Winnipeg Jets draft pick, not coming to the tournament. Those are 3 significant players that I think just puts them behind the opportunity to compete. Will they be a good team? Yeah, they'll be a good team. Will they be competitive? Yeah, they'll be competitive. Can they win? I don't think so. I think that they're the 6th team on the outside looking in. I really, just because of the absences. And, Jussi Ahokas is returning as the head coach. He knows the group very well. They will be smart. They will play like they always do. But you can't miss that many top-end players, and I think expect to compete for the gold medal.
No, for sure. You kind of mentioned when you're going through that tour, like certain players to look out for. Are there some players that regardless of what country they play for, but there's some players that maybe people don't know that much about that might surprise people this year, Craig, based on your scouting? Is there some players that people might not know about that have an opportunity to really shine in this tournament?
Well, I mean, let's just go back to the Canada pool. Let's go to Russia. Yeah. Grigory Denisenko, who was a first-round draft pick to the Florida Panthers. He is brilliant. He is a dynamic. He plays a lot like Kucherov, and he has the abilities to be a game breaker. Kravtsov, the New York Rangers first-round draft pick last year. I mean, he is doing exceptionally well in the KHL as a 19-year-old. He's big, he's powerful, he can skate, and those 2 players are going to have a significant impact on the games that they play in for Russia. So those are 2 players that I would say immediately. But I don't know if Vasily Podkolzin ultimately will make the team. He will be a top 5 pick in the NHL draft in 2019. He is unbelievable in terms of how he plays. But, Valeri Bragin, you know what? If it's even, he's taking the older player over the younger player. It might not be even. When I look at the roster, Podkolzin is that good. The Czechs. I mentioned Nate Chash, Carolina's first round pick a couple of years, and Zadina. I expect them to be lights out outside. They have the potential to be amongst the very best players in this tournament. That's how good they are, and that's how because of their experience. And that's why I put the Czechs in that. You know what? I'm not saying a dark horse. I'm just saying don't sleep on them. They're the team that could very well come out. Let's go to the other side. We've talked about Quinn Hughes. We talked about Jack Hughes. Really, really good players. Spencer Knight, the goaltender. He's a draft pick. He's going to be a first-round draft pick, in my view, just too good. And Caden Primo, Keith Primo's son, drafted by the Montreal Canadiens. And the reason I bring up Caden is Carey Price is locked and loaded for the Montreal Canadiens for a number of years. If you're an NHL scout or an NHL team, you want to be coming in and watching Caden Primo because he's exactly the player that you might be able to acquire in a trade. Everybody's looking for goaltending. He's won a World Junior A Challenge gold medal. He was the Rookie of the Year last year for Northeastern in the Hockey East. And these are the types of, this is the tournament that gives you that opportunity to zero in and say, oh, that could be a guy we might be able to get. Sweden. Philip Broberg looks like he's going to make the team. He's an unbelievable defenseman. He can skate. He's big. He can make plays with the puck.
He was on the show 2 weeks ago.
Well, and you know what? And I imagine he was just as brilliant on the show as he is on the ice. And but Philip is an outstanding player. And with the injury to Timothy Liljegren from the Toronto Maple Leafs, who won't be able to participate, I think it gives Broberg a great opening. Eric Brandstrom. He's returning to this tournament. I mean, the Vegas Golden Knights first round draft pick. I always laugh when I hear people talk about, oh, they're not that. Yeah, I can look at the height and weight chart and see what they are. He's an outstanding player. In this age group, the 1999, he's been amongst the very best players. I have no doubt he will be amongst the best players in this tournament. So when you consider, Brandstrom returning, the young Broberg, if you're looking at the 2019 NHL draft, I think he's right there in that top group of players. So there you go. Absolutely. Now you go over to the Finns, Capo Kakko. Yep. He's playing for TPS in the SM League as a 17-year-old. He's not only playing, he is playing exceptionally well for a team that's one of the best in the SM League, one of the top scorers on his team. New Year's Eve, Jack Hughes versus Capo Kakko. You very well could be looking at 1 and 2 in the 2019 NHL draft. So that's a little preview of some of the players that I think that can really capture your imagination, that have a chance to really be special at this tournament. And one thing we've learned over the years, players that come to this tournament and challenge themselves, usually it's a precursor to what the next step is, and that's usually stardom in the NHL.
Absolutely. So we're going to wrap up quickly. Who's going to win in Craig Button's eyes this year? Who's the favorite?
Well, here's what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm not going to tell you who the winner's going to be because I don't know. Even though I know I don't know. How do you like that one?
Sure.
Here's what I think. I think the 4 semifinalists are going. I think 3 of them are going to come from Canada's pool.
Okay.
I think that Canada, Russia, and Czech Republic will be 3 of the semifinalists, and the other one will be the USA. I think that the New Year's Eve game between Russia and Canada very well could be a preview of the gold medal game on January 5th. So, there's a lot that has to go on in this tournament, right? And it has to go right for the team that's winning. But that's how I see the tournament playing out. People go, oh, what about Sweden? I talked about Sweden earlier. I don't think Sweden has enough this year. They're going to return a lot of players for next year's tournament, including their coach. And they very well could be the favorite going into next year because of what they're going to have in terms of firepower and experience in their roster.
Absolutely. Well, Craig, thank you again for doing this. It's a tradition on the show right now. We also have you come back for the NHL draft special. So we'll just keep it going. But I just want to say happy holidays and happy New Year to you and your family.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you. Happy New Year to you and yours. And you know what? Maybe we should try something.
What should we try?
Maybe when you have Broberg on or one of these guys on, maybe we can have like all of us get on. We can just have a discussion.
I was trying to do it with Mikey DiPietro, but something happened in the last couple of weeks. A trade, you know what I mean?
Oh.
So, but yeah, we might do that. That would be great. I think
I'd love to do it. If you have it in your summary or in your plans, count me in.
Absolutely, that'd be great. Well, thanks again, Craig, and enjoy the tournament as well.
I will, thanks.
No problem. Well, this has been Pop Tourney. This has been our World Junior Preview Show, and I just want to wish everyone Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and until next time, this is Craig Button and PD Beats signing off. Enjoy the tournament.
Thank you for tuning in to Pop Turnative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Pop Turnative on YouTube. Be sure to like Pop Turnative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.